Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Alright, I'll type one of my stories, and if you guys are interested, I'll give you a few others. I don't have one long, coherent event of my time living with my mother, but instead, various occurrences that all held their own pretty serious happenings. Here's the first one. Be me, 14 or so at the time, living with my mother out in the backwoods of Pennsylvania. I've moved around a few times as a kid, remember all of the houses, all in the sticks. For some reason, this house is the only one to ever give me some sort of terrible feeling of dread. Had minor happenings up until I was 14, mostly just a voice whispering my name in the night. Chalked it up to being young and afraid for a long time until thinking it over. One day I realized it was always the same voice, and it only ever occurred when I left a window open. Back onto the first happening. Have school in the morning, so I passed out. Suddenly wake up, jolt awake out of nowhere in the middle of a peaceful dream. Dread, just pure fear overtakes me for seemingly no reason. I can't move. I don't want to move. I look down at the end of my futon, which still had the back up. My cat has her back feet on my leg, front feet on the back of the futon looking out my open window. I still feel like I want to scream in terror, but it's only my cat in the room. I just about settle down and call her name when all the hair on her back shoots up. Her tail is waving frantically and begins to growl. She's a quiet and timid cat, never messing with the other cats we had inside. This was unlike her and only made me shut up even further. She continues to growl at the window for about 30 seconds. Finally build the courage to stand, about to stand when something growls back. I freeze. My heart skipped a beat. Lived in the woods my whole life. Heard everything from a coyote to mountain lions growl. There was not anything I've seen or heard. This was guttural. It sounded human but all wrong, and whatever it was had been tall enough to be right at the window. This is when my cat bolts down and stands right on my chest, almost defensively. I get zero sleep that night. She stayed with me the entire time in that stance. Whatever it was must have left because nothing else happened.
Be me. Be 10 years old in a small town. Tons of stories due to the town being 200 years old and was a trading post even before then. A fog rolls in. I am staying with my grandfather on his farm, whose mother was from Ireland and grew up with stories of fairies, ghosts, banshees, etc. His cows are freaking out. At first we thought it was yellow-eyed bastards, coyotes. We grab a couple of rifles and call the dogs, but they are terrified, even though they have gone toe-to-toe with coyotes before. What the fuck, the cows are freaking out even more. We go out to their pen. We hear a loud screech or hiss like no animal I have heard before. What the fuck was that? The cows are scared more than I have seen before. My grandfather goes white, takes me inside and locks the doors. Later on, after the fog lifted, we found 2 of his cows torn apart, tags 123, 78. Then another one, 133, outside the pen in his field 200 feet away in pieces a few days later. TLDR. Something in the fog went into a pen surrounded by a 7-foot fence, killed 3 cows, dragged one over the fence, and mutilated it. Still terrified of the fog to this day 11 years later.
Story 2. This is the second major happening that I remember. with some small events in between. This one is shorter and doesn't yet get to the shooting, but it's important. Be me still. 16, still living with my mother. Same house. Feeling of danger and fear has never really gone away. Be sleeping one night, weekend, peaceful dreams. I still remember the dream. I was just playing guitar with some bros I had. Doesn't stay peaceful long. Everything goes dark. I'm still asleep, but feel awake. I can't open my eyes. I want to scream, feel like I'm screaming. This goes on for some time. I don't know how long, but it feels like forever. In the middle of this torture, my eyes open, and I sit up. I can't catch my breath. My brain is telling me to get up and run. I'm in danger. It takes me a moment to process what's going on, but I'm outside. What the fuck? I'm sitting on my front porch in the cold. Get up as quick as I can and run to my front door. It's locked. Fucking what? How did I get out here? A sudden feeling that I'm being watched. Someone is staring at me and I need to get away. Run down the front of my house to my bedroom window. The screen is torn to bits. The window is open. No time for this shit.jpeg. Jump through the window, slam it shut behind me, and close curtains. Don't sleep the rest of the night, just silently listening, swear I hear something walking outside, but don't dare look. I got checked out after this because I was terrified I was schizo or some shit. But the doctor couldn't really come up with anything and gave me some bullshit about sleepwalking. I never sleepwalked before this, and haven't since. We'll post next story in a bit.
Be an average rural teenager. I am riding a dirt bike on state trails. I have probably ridden the same trail 100 plus times before. I grew up in the woods. I get to a hairy corner, nearly a 180-degree turn. I slow down and get around the bend. A large, upright black creature is standing about 4 feet in a woods off the trail. It has a flat face covered in black hair from head to toe. It has the look of death in its eyes, but does not seem to notice me as I am staring right into them. I get maybe 30 feet away and stop, bike still running, and I look back. It is now on the trail where I just was, looking directly at me. I must have been there for no more than 10 seconds before it opened its mouth and let out a scream very similar to a cougar and started to shift its weight forward like it was going to charge. No more than 0.0000001 seconds later, I had revved the motor to max and dumped the clutch. Never rode that fast in my life. I quit riding altogether that day and sold my bike the next month. I'm not sure what I would have done had it been in the middle of the trail when I came through.
Story 3. Same house, now 19. Been working since high school, preparing to start buying guns and move out. One night during the fall, have bros over. There's probably 7 or 8 of us. Start a bonfire, down some beers, chain smoke cigarettes. Typical shit in the backwoods. Everything is going on pretty normally. We're having a lot of fun as usual. I got pretty drunk at this point and forgot most of what happened throughout the night. But I do remember at some point, that feeling I always got of being watched returns. Try to ignore it. Pretty fed up with it at this point. Buddy realizes he forgot his cigarettes out front. Whatever. We all walk out front. Dick off on front porch for a bit and light up some smokes. We start to walk back to return to the bonfire, all walking as a small, huddled group up my driveway that looped the side of the house. The feeling gets worse, almost out of nowhere. It must have been a pretty mutual thing, because everyone gets pretty quiet. We all get quiet, almost in unison. An onset of silence took over, almost right on cue. There was a massive crack, the snapping of the pretty, freshly cut corn stalks. We all stopped and looked up at the cornfield just 20 yards ahead. There was a figure. Something slowly stood up right in front of us. It wasn't normal either. It was eerily unnatural. It didn't come up on all fours like a deer, but stood just as tall as one. It didn't stand on two legs either. It was like it was slouching over onto fists. A stare between us and whatever it was only lasted a moment before it bolted off through the field. It was fast, too. It took maybe 15 to 20 seconds to reach the small hill in the middle of the field, about 200 yards out. It didn't take me long to sprint to the back door with the rest of my group. We all ran into my house, made sure everyone was in before slamming the door shut and locking it. Everyone was panicked, adrenaline coursing, though silence lingered for some time. We spent a good while staring out the windows before we started talking it over. It was in pretty popular agreement whatever the hell it was wasn't an animal. Liquidcourage.x. I grab my vodka and take a mighty swig before announcing we need to go check it out. Luckily, my friends and I share a large amount of stupidity and all agree. I grab my pretty quality longsword I had because I was cringe. Everyone else grabs whatever they can find. One has a fire-splitting axe, another a hatchet. One ties a kitchen knife to a pole. Spearman takes point and we all charge out the back door. Not enough autism for a war cry, so we remained silent as we lurked up to the field. Start checking the area. We stay in two small groups of 3 or 4. Still don't remember how many of us there were. No tracks. And what was more disturbing is we couldn't find a spot in the stalks it could have been laying. We realized it wasn't laying. It must have been watching us the whole time, stalking us. That discussion was enough to drive us all back to the safety of the bonfire, kept weapons close and built it up to a mighty flame. Rest of the night goes by without incident, but the feeling never really goes away. We'll continue more stories after a little.
Be me. In one station unit training, land navigation practice course paired with another guy going to location marks. I find my mark, the other guy's turn to navigate to the next spot. The guy is an idiot and leads us way out to the edge of the designated area. We come up to the corner of a metal wire fence topped with barbed wire. The other side of the fence has an old helicopter and random shit strewn about. I look at the map. The area is not marked. I tell the other guy he is an idiot. I spot a guy standing on our side of the fence a few feet away. I wonder where he came from, but laugh out loud he is lost too. The guy is in BDU, we two are wearing ACU. The guy also has some bloodstains on his uniform. What the fuck? I ask if he needs help. No answer. I tell him to come with us, we are heading back. No answer. Fuck this guy, we need to get our marks. We start walking away. The other guy turns around for whatever the reason and says, "What the fuck?" I look back, the guy is not there. The guy is not anywhere. The ground is covered in dry leaves, no way to move without making noise. Nope. We report directly to the DSs with what we saw once we get back to the staging area. Fuck off, privates. Pretty sure it was the ghost of some private who died out there. In retrospect, that area on the other side looked like a mock-up for some jungle warfare.
Story 4. Same everything as before. B-19. Have become has guns. Recently purchased WASR. Things have started to get tense on the Spook Ranch. working the night shift at the time, and the girl that I'm still with moved in with us. She and the others of my family keep telling me lights are shining in through the windows at night. Not like distant lights, flashlights. Mother even tells me some come right up to the windows. This pisses me off more than anything. I stay rational with everything despite shit that's happened. Chalk it up to pricks walking through our fields and spotting for deer. A few weeks after initial reports, I'm forced to stay home from work due to a blizzard. Fine by me.jpeg. I just chill the entire time. Feels pretty comfy. Get to go out front with dogs and have a cigarette every 2 hours or so. Snow was beautiful. This continues for a while. Kind of a boring day overall, until about midnight. I was in my room, playing Monster Hunter because I had nothing else to do. Suddenly, little brother comes running back down the hallway, bursts through the door, tears in his eyes. Anon, they're here again, the lights, instant defensive mode. I spring up and grab WASR and the only spare mag I had at the time. Adorned surplus Soviet long coat, tuck mag into coat pocket, and rush out to kitchen to get to back door. I quickly turn off all the lights and creep over to a window to peek out. No lights, but I see a figure. My heart starts racing. It's not in the field, it's right in my backyard. Too dark to see anything other than the idea of a tall figure lurking, but I can hear snow crunching while it steps. Start to plan my attack when the figure stops, and I swear to God it turns right to look at me. Duck behind the wall as fast as I can, but don't stay there. Begin something of a crawl towards the back door. I'm about halfway to the door when I hear the crunching. It gets faster and it rushes towards the house. Shit. I spring up onto one knee and stare off towards the door. Nothing happens. Can't see anything on the other side of the door through the door window. Then a loud screeching of metal whining as it moved against itself. Then the bang of my cellar door being swung fully open. Holy shit, I know I locked that. This thing is in my fucking cellar. Tactical freak out, but don't reach tactical shitting of pants before it dawns on me. One way in, one way out, it just cornered itself. I take a lot of courage in this and sprint to the door. Without hesitation, I swing it open, lock it behind me and shut it. Trapped myself, but would rather that than have it get around me and get inside. Begin a slow trek towards the now wide open cellar doors. Pull the flashlight I keep in my coat from my pocket. A bit awkward, but I managed to hold the small flashlight and grip the handguard on WASR in the same hand. There were prints in the snow leading to the cellar, but it was coming down way too fast, way too hard. They had become nothing but deep imprints with no distinct shape. No time to think about that. I keep my flashlight low as I creep up to the cellar stairs. I hesitate, but push any rational thought to the back of my head. No time for thinking, anon. I grit my teeth and charge down the stairs, bringing my WASR up all the while. I do a quick but thorough sweep of the cellar. It has no walls, just one support pillar. There's absolutely jack shit. A million questions are racing through my head, no logical answer. That's when I hear it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It never fucking came down in the first place. I turned tail, but exactly what I expected happened. The cellar door slammed shut above me. The massive clang of metal from the force rendered me basically deaf. Run upstairs, shove my shoulder into the cellar, but there's weight on the door now. I push with the might of 1,000 grugs. Hearing starts to come back. I can hear the doorknob on the back door being wrenched at, the door slamming back and forth as it's being forced. Tactically freaking out, tactical shit is imminent. Adrenaline hits an all-time high, and I give a mighty bellow as I push against the door now. WASR, slung over my shoulder. The door slowly lurches up. This took place for 10 or so seconds before something rolled off the door and it swung open. I was pretty winded, but brought my gun back around and tried to steady my breath, sweeping the backyard. Nothing. There were prints from the back door, leading out towards the field. Not the same, not even close to how big they were before. I have seen them 1,000 times. Coyote prints. Tactical what the fuck continues in full force. Panting still, confusion turns to frustration. I dump half my mag into the field. I stand there for a moment, waiting, but no response. I go to check out the cellar doors. The lock was torn clean off. The small metal bar you need to lift in order to open it is bent backwards. I retreat to the back door and text my brother to let me in. In the meantime, I check the door. The wood is bowing. There are scrapes all over the door handle. The metal was flaking off. 11 out of 10. I'm done with this. My brother runs to the back door and unlocks it. I don't sleep at all that night. I stayed in the kitchen sipping coffee and watching YouTube. Nothing happens the rest of the night. Adrenaline never really dies down, though.
Be me. Autumn 2017, college fall break. I go to a local regional flea market and gun show. I trade a bent barrel M1903A3 for a debubbed T56 SKS. I nab some leftover AK ammo off a friend and drive 8 hours to see my kin again. I roll up in the mountains to my sister's rented trailer. Backstory: she just got out of a bad marriage. She is also poor, but I bought some food for a cookout, because why not? My ma shows the children some tricks about cooking over a campfire as the sun sets. The littlest kid burns his marshmallow because it is fun. The others mimic because we got infinite marshmallows to kids' eyes. Oh well. Now this campfire is set up with fields in an L shape. Looking across them is 300 meters easy. I notice a light in the field. I call it out to the adults. It is suggested it could be a neighbor coming to visit. The only one could be an elderly Laotian man. And the light is beaming from across the muddy field. We call out to the light. The light turns off. The light turns back on 100 yards from where it was, and moved back on the same path. Thinking emoji. We call again. Same results. I express concern. A kid hears this, relays spooky light to the other kids. I ask my niece if she has seen it before. Yay, in my window. The kids are curious and hyped now and shouting. The adults are visibly concerned. The kids are corralled inside with talk about watching a movie. The adults stand by the fire. I announce my intent to get the SKS. Don't shoot anyone, anon. Okay, I will carry an empty chamber. Just don't shoot anyone, anon. I wash out the fire pit as the adults go inside. I crouch in the grass by the field in my alpenflange pants, holding an SKS with a Chicom rig wrapped around a flannel jacket with exactly 3 clips and a pocket full of loose rounds. I embrace the suck when it begins to rain. I watch as the light repeats its path. I shine a light of my own at it. It shines back. I wave my light. It waves back. I illuminate myself. The light cuts off. I moved location. 10 minutes later, and the light is at origin again. I watch as it trips over a branch. I can see arms and a leg. I laugh audibly. The light goes off. Another 15 minutes. Back to start. I watch the light more. I am silent. The light follows the field shape to flank the trailer. I move to catch the light by its blind side behind some hay bales. 10 minutes turns to 20 minutes. I move again. No activity. Am I getting ambushed? Get jumpy. I decided to nope back to the trailer. I hear something to my left in the dark. I about face and fumble to fire, charge my rifle, move backward, cuss in rehearsed Russian, and register the voice at the same time. Drunken slurring soon registers as my sister and her drunker, not boyfriend meth addict, emerging from the shadow of some trees. They came to find the armed guy in the dark and desired to shout at me from the dark, drunk. I love my family. We go inside and catch up on events. Basically, her ex called her from mobile, with their toddler, with leaves crunching in the background, as a meth pixie harpy tried to retrieve her phone, used to call, from the also drunk ex-husband of my sister. But the woods was wet and no leaves to crunch. Who was light?
Story 5. Final event to date. Spook Ranch. 20 now. Girlfriend and I are preparing to move out. Things have been rather quiet since the winter, since the last event. No more lights, no bumps or weird sounds. I get the feeling of being watched here and there, but not nearly as severe as before. Things are calm, and I get too comfortable with that. Beginning of the year, maybe February or March. I have a 4-day weekend, so I decided to have an old friend from school up. We shoot the shit, drink a bit, and generally just have a good time for the majority of the day. We chain smoke a lot. Typical boring bro shit. Night falls a couple hours later. We just continue our cycle of bullshitting inside and then going out for a cigarette. Everything goes from 0 to 100 real quick. We go out back for a cigarette, maybe 11 or 12 at night. Halfway through our smoke, we hear a soft crying sound, almost like whining. I have been into outdoors shit for some time at this point. I have spent a lot of time in Innawoods. I have a lot of experience with animals. I have had foxes screaming just outside of my camp, rabbits being killed not 100 feet off, and even had a few run-ins with lynxes, which were the most unsettling but easily identified scream. This was different. This, like the growl I heard at my window, was different. The crying slowly got closer, coming from the cornfield, which was still just cut down stalks. The crying was very human in nature. Whatever it sounded like, it was gargling, drowning in water. It was not anywhere close to natural. We both froze, looking right out to where we thought the sound was coming from. Absolutely nothing. The night was pretty bright, a nearly full moon high in the sky. I turn my cards into attack mode, tell my buddy to stay put, and I run inside. I retrieve my pretty newly acquired nugget from my room. My girlfriend is luckily asleep. Stuff some stripper clips into my pocket quickly and rush out back. I bolt through the door, locking it behind me like last time. Turn to see my friend. He has his back pressed against the wall of my house, panicking, and has a knife out now he must have had in his pocket. It took me a second to gather my thoughts, but I look back out to the field, and I hear it now. The crying has gotten louder. It sounds frantic and is now running back and forth. I shoulder my rifle and verbally call out, "What the fuck?" in confusion. I can hear the steps now, heavy, bipedal. They are fast, come too close to us for comfort. Maybe within 20 to 30 feet before they turn back and dart some distance away. This continues, just back and forth maybe 3 times. The entire time I cannot see anything. This is frustrating me. I load caveman.x. My brain goes into primal mode. I forgot to mention, but I also grabbed a mag light while I was inside. I hand the light to my buddy and tell him to stay close off my side, just back a bit. I can tell he wants to oppose, but he follows anyways. We are obviously spotted, and this thing is just toying with us. We rush up to the edge of the cornfield. The steps get further away and keep their distance this time, the cry still sounding loudly. "Why are you running?" MP3. I begin a steady march into the field, one long stride after another, rifle raised and ready to fire. I do not know if it was a bad idea or not, but I go right towards the crying, chasing this thing further back into the field. We got maybe 100 yards out, nearing the hill in the middle of the field, when the time changed real quick. The crying and the steps in front of us stopped. It was like they disappeared. We both froze in place, and I slowly lowered down onto a knee. That is when we saw them. Up on the hill, in the light of the moon, we could see maybe 7 or 8 silhouettes of coyotes. They were all pacing back and forth on the top of the hill, agitated and obviously looking down at us. I could not see them clearly, but it was undeniable what they were. I nearly took my aim to put one down as a warning before my buddy tapped me on the shoulder. "Anon, there is someone with them." I was confused as all living hell, but peeked over my iron sights. He was right. One of the coyotes in the middle slowly stood up onto its hind legs, slightly slouched at the shoulders. Fear fills my chest. Dread overcame me like it had all other times before. I knew that was whatever was fucking with me all these years. I took anger in that, anger that helped me put aside the fear. I take my aim and fire the first shot. A mighty fireball erupted from my rifle. Well, now I am fucking blind. I see stars, blinking rapidly to try and regain vision. I must have hit my mark, because an ungodly screeching howled through the field and pierced my ears. My vision came back in just a few seconds, and I could see the thing standing back up from getting hit. Every coyote in unison began howling. Friend grabbed my shoulder, trying to pull me back. "Anon, we need to go." I do not say anything, but yeah, fuck this. I push him back to give him the hint, and we begin backpedaling through the field. I take another shot, making sure I had my aim and closing my eyes just as I squeeze the trigger. I must have missed it because no screeching, just the gargled voice again. It was laughing this time, fucking laughing. Primal instinct turns into French instinct, and we both turn tail and sprint the distance. We reach the back door. I have my key this time. I instructed my friend to retrieve it from my back pocket. He does so without hesitation. I keep watch on the hill. The coyotes are all gone, but the thing is still watching us. No noise now. The door is open and we both fumble through. My girlfriend is awake from the gunshots and panicking. I tell her, "Just coyotes, go back to bed." We do not talk about it the rest of the night. We smoke in the garage. I retrieved my AK after this, and we both stayed on guard all night. I haven't been back to my mother's house for more than a couple hours at a time since moving some time ago. Though, soon, I wish to make an excursion out to the woodlands, just past the fields, to spend a couple nights with a few friends, all very well armed. I need to wait for between hunting seasons or after deer season, but I will document all that I can once it happens.
Be me. My wife divorces me and takes all my money. Can't afford to pay for her mortgage or alimony. Go live out in the woods in Virginia in an abandoned house. One room has some dead shit and flies buzzing around, too gross to move. Close the door and seal it with some caulk I found in the basement. Try to forget about it. One day, after foraging and digging through trash cans, I came back to the house. Some dick came in and kicked the door to the room I sealed down. The flies are everywhere. Have to abandon my bedroll, and I can't even make it to the attic where I hid some money and a picture of my kids. The flies are so thick.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.